They say opposites attract.
Well, how about these opposites? Daddies and sons.
You're listening to Daddy and Son.
A podcast where we explore the dynamics of daddy and son relationships, multi-generational views,
And everything else in between.
Welcome back,
Welcome back,
friends, gays, allies,
countrymen,
lesbians.
supporters of Donald Trump even.
Yeah, all who listen, gentle listeners and dumb tops. We are Son and Daddy, and you're listening to Daddy and Son.
And I'm Norm.
And I'm Alex. This week is our Shoot Your Shit episode, and if you're new to this program, you don't know what that is. Once a month, typically the end of the month, we have what is called a Shoot Your Shit episode. It's
Free
just
for all.
It's a free for all. We freestyle it.
Freestyle, like music. Yeah.
We talk about, whatever we want to talk about, whatever is pressing on our minds, and, just maybe do a little recap.
What if we don't want to talk about anything?
And
I'd rather
that's-
just sit here and have this beautiful cocktail that you prepared this evening.
Oh, you like it?
I do. What are we drinking?
Oh, we're jumping right into it.
Well, let's get it on here. I mean, come on. You're 3 sips ahead of me.
Well, this week we are having a pomegranate mimosa. It's made with a dry brut cava, fresh pomegranate. You can see the pomegranate seeds in there.
Yes.
You get the nice fresh juice of the pomegranate seeds.
And it's nourishing too.
Extremely rich in antioxidants.
Yes.
So rich, so powerful. A little bit of Cointreau and a splash of Grand Marnier.
Yes, I saw the Cointreau bottle out in the counter earlier. I was wondering what you were doing out there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you should know that when Alex prepares a drink, not a glass of wine, not different, but when there's a cocktail or a special drink, this is equivalent to being at a 5-star resort with a top-end bartender, and you get an absolutely magnificent artistic drink.
Oh, thank you. I'm really happy that you like it.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is going to be, it's just something that I decided to try on a whim.
It's refreshing and it's not too sweet.
It's exactly. And I think when Christmas comes around, last year my signature cocktail for Christmas was Negroni Spagliato with Prosecco. And this year I'm going to be doing this drink, the pomegranate mimosa, because it has the colors, it's giving the flavors, but it's not too sweet. It also is bubbles, so it's giving you that fuzzy feeling of Christmas.
Well, I've only had 3 sips. I'm not feeling fuzzy yet.
Ooh, give it some time. Give it some time, because
Okay.
when the tartness of that, the cognac of that Grand Marnier hits, ooh, with the Prosecco, ooh, you're gonna love it. You will be dancing in your seat. How was your week?
My week was very busy. You know that as a retired person, I'm no longer retired. And my so-called...
You came out of retirement. They dragged you out of retirement.
I know. To underpay me again, but that's fine. No, I've been, it's kind of neat. You know what I like? I like not having to go to an office. I like not having to go to a specific job every day anymore.
Me too. And that's part of the reason why I haven't left my current job, because
It doesn't feel like a job.
everywhere else is requiring you to go into office, and I like the flexibility of where I'm at right now, because when they say if you have a hobby, you'll never work if your job is your hobby, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about where I work.
Wow. So many people do not like their work. And I just see Royal Bank now wants people in 4 days a week. Did I see that announcement the other day? And then once
Not
they
me.
start, Yeah, not you.
This is why I don't work. This is why I'd never do cybersecurity for a bank. You lose your soul. You absolutely lose your soul. A bank, insurance company, especially if it's one of like the big fours, EY, Deloitte, you name it, PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, like never. You lose your soul. Everyone that I've
Certainly your
spoken
independence.
to who have done either sysadmin, architecture, or cybersecurity for like any major bank or major insurance company or one of the big fours, like the consulting companies, they always say like, I really want to leave. Like, you lose your soul. They warn me, Alex, do not get into this.
Well, your freedom, I wouldn't say so much freedom, it's the flexibility. You know, I can wake up in the morning, I can go to the gym, I can come home and start some laundry and do a little work at the same time. And then I can bugger off and go and have lunch with a colleague, as I did today. And then, okay, I've got another call in an hour. I'll make sure I'm home in time to do that. That is a nice, when you don't have it, you miss it. You would miss it.
So what was for lunch today?
A Swiss cheese and mushroom burger with salad, no fries.
Where is this, beer market?
A place like it out in the West End near Runnymede. Nice little.
Do you want to give them a shout out?
I can't remember the name of the place.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah. The Fox and John at Kennedy and Bloor West.
The Fox and the Fiddle?
The Fox and John.
The Fox and John.
Yeah, John bought out Fiddle.
Okay. Shout out to Fox and John and their Swiss mushroom burger.
Oh, yes.
Sounds delicious. So gotta go try it out. And if you're ever in Toronto, out in the West End, you know, drop in and tell them that Norm from Daddy and Son sent you. Hopefully someday we can have a brand affiliate. You know, we can do some deals.
Yes, we could use some sponsors, couldn't we?
Absolutely.
Hint to those of you listening out there.
We all know so there are some entrepreneurs out there who listen to our podcast. We're open to doing some deals. Let us know. We would love to have you on the podcast as a guest. You know, do a shout out, promotion. You let us know.
Yeah. We can be bought, can't we? Oh, I was supposed to say that.
Listen, I prostitute myself every day socially. So, I mean, can I be bought?
Well, when you work for somebody else, you are effectively doing that, aren't you?
Yes, I'm a corporate prostitute.
You were even dressed in all black today. You can't see here, but folks, but
I had
socks, slacks, t-shirt. Looks very athletic.
I had to serve a look today. So, my week, honestly, it's been a long, rough one. Today, I woke up and I just felt like I was just dragging myself through molasses. It's just one of those days. I love that
expression, dragging myself through molasses.
Yeah, it was just tough.
So you didn't work today?
No, but I had so many appointments, so it wouldn't work out anyways. I had to, and it's a good thing I took the day off because I was hoping only take a half day to take Phoenix to go get
that's his dog,
her medical examination for travel to the UK.
Oh, okay.
I called CIFA a month ago and they emailed me the form, but the form that they emailed me is the wrong form. Apparently there's a separate form for the UK and the EU that you have to use. So when I drove all the way to Markham, after going to Phoenix's old vet in Scarborough, I had to go all the way back to Scarborough for them to fill out the proper form.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I know. And then she apparently needed additional medication or vaccination. It was just so much runaround.
Owning a pet is such a responsibility.
It is literally like having a child.
Especially a dog.
It is literally like having a child.
Now, if you owned a cat and you wanted to go away a week, you could probably leave the cat at home, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, you could.
Yeah, but the dog.
I've traveled and left my 2 cats at home for 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness!
I just leave multiple because you have litter boxes that like empty themselves these days and churns the litter, like turns it around and it looks like a cement churner. So I had one of those, and I'd leave multiple bowls of water around the house and multiple bowls of food around the house, and they just take care of themselves.
Yeah. But a dog is a big responsibility.
But a dog, you can't even leave for a whole day.
But it gets to go to the Signature Lounge next week.
But she'll get to go with me into the Signature
Will you
Lounge.
ask the chef to prepare something for her before she gets on the flight?
You know what? I'm curious to know how Air Canada treats, because it's going to be my first time traveling with her in business class. So I'm curious to know how they treat animals or pets that are traveling with their companions in business class. I'm really curious to know.
Well, there's one question they will still come and ask you.
What's that?
Sir, what would you like to drink after takeoff?
I would say we would both like a glass of champagne.
Right, that's a good answer. You just answered it for them.
Because I have to pay for her.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
How much?
It's not a lot. It's $200, but still, I have to pay for her.
Could you take me as your pet and I would only have to pay $200?
Get down on all fours.
Oh. Bow wow.
You know, something that really on a different note, something that really, I don't know if you heard about this story, but something that really caught my attention this week outside of Trump's BBL. You have this quizzical look on your face.
I'm just wondering that I'm trying.
You don't know what a BBL is?
Well, I can think of a few things, but not what you're thinking. Maybe
BBL is like a surgery. It's like Brazilian butt lift. It's one of the most common like plastic surgeries that the girls are doing these days.
My butt doesn't need it.
Oh, okay. Well,
but no, I had not heard of that before.
You know who has a BBL though? Trump.
Oh.
It's called the Big Beautiful Legislation.
Ah.
And
Big Beautiful Bill.
Yes.
BBB.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I call it the BBL.
Okay.
Because it tickles me.
Okay.
And, you know, well, that just annoys the shit out of me. But separate and apart from that has caught my attention. There's a woman in Georgia. Her name is Adriana Smith. Did you hear about her?
Georgia in the United States or in Europe? Okay, Georgia. Okay.
Yeah. Adriana Smith.
Adriana Smith. No. Tell me the story. Maybe I've heard the story and don't know.
So Adriana is a 30-year-old nurse and a mother from Atlanta, and she went into the ER because she was having like a really pounding migraine.
I hate these stories.
Right?
I hate these stories.
She went in having a migraine, never left.
Oh.
That was 90 days ago. She ended up falling into a coma, and she was apparently about 6 weeks pregnant at the time in February when she suffered this medical emergency. Apparently, it was a blood clot to the brain. This led to her having somewhat of a semi-aneurysm that left her brain dead. It didn't kill her, but it left her brain dead. Now,
that becomes a very tough decision for the family.
Sorry, she wasn't 6 weeks pregnant. She was 9 weeks pregnant. Despite her condition, however, the university hospital decided that, well, because the fetus is beyond 6 weeks, based on Georgia law, we don't want to do an abortion. So they're keeping this woman on life support.
So she can have her baby?
Who is brain dead, so that she can have the baby. Now,
oh my goodness, that is, I wonder if that's ever happened.
Well, no, it's unprecedented. And here's the thing.
Yeah, how would a woman who's comatose
Because she's
have labor?
comatose, the doctors are saying that they don't even think this child is going to be like right. This child may be born deformed or blind or
How do they know?
both.
If she's being nourished and fed, who knows?
Well, remember, for
Wow.
a woman to be, it's more than just nourishment that goes into
Yeah, it's
feeding
mental
a
and
baby.
social and
It's they need exercise, they need movement. The mother.
yeah.
Plus, she's not eating. She can't eat. She's brain dead.
Yeah, so she's being fed intravenously.
She's being fed intravenously, right? So this, even when you have test tube babies, they're usually put into a healthy host to bake, so to speak,
Yeah.
right?
Sort of like the cake you're going to make later with a 35% cream on the counter that you have over there, I can see.
Precisely.
Yeah.
I'm doing a dulce de leche cake,
Oh, that sounds delicious.
and yeah, I'm just.
And so, what's the status of this? What have they? The family must have some views on that.
It's been 22 weeks now, and can you guess who's paying the bill?
Well, I'm sure they're not.
It's not the state of Georgia, and it's definitely not the hospital. So this family, who has no choice, because whether or not they want to have this abortion, yes or no, the choice is being taken away from them. Whether they or not they want to pull the plug from Adriana, they can't make that decision, because
Why not?
to kill the host mean that they would end up killing the baby,
Well, and they're not allowed to do that.
because Georgia law states that after 6 weeks, that
That's not an abortion, though. That's
that fetus has rights.
well. My goodness, what an interesting case. That is that's a caught between a rock and a hard place, isn't it?
A lot of these doctors are now faced with, they don't want to lose their license, so none of the doctors or the nurses there want to perform.
But it's not an abortion. It's treating the woman, and unfortunately, she's going to perish with a fetus in her.
Well, tell that to no offense, but tell that to the poor the Trump supporters and the Bible thumpers who want to see women suffer.
Or the Georgia state legislators whose law that is. Technically.
All the celebrities who were coming out saying Nelly, 50, Snoop,
who is paying the bill?
Amber Rose, all the celebrities who were coming out, Nikki G, who were coming out saying
Nikki
that
G.
they were supporting
doesn't
Trump,
know
all the blacks for Trumps, all the Latinas for Trumps, and the women for Trump. Is this what you want? Where's the support now? What are we doing?
Well, first of all, the financial bill from this must be horrendous.
I know. For somebody who is brain dead, who we know for all intents and purposes, she will not survive this.
Well, let's face it. The family likely doesn't have the money to, unless they're hugely wealthy.
Oh, no, they don't. They don't.
So this is a bill that will never get collected. So nobody's going to pay the bill, which means the hospital will absorb it.
If you know anything about Trump's America, they will come after that family.
Well, they can try. I mean, they might not have the assets.
And medical
even
debt is one of the number one reasons why a lot of people, especially poor,
high stress
black people in the U.S., end up behind bars.
Well, let's talk about...
Because you can go to jail over medical debt.
Well, let's follow this from the point of view of of a really unusual situation. I want to see where this one goes. But if I'm the family, I probably would want to go to court and insist on pulling the plug.
But here's the thing. You and I know that court takes forever. It takes forever. And I'm sorry, but If I was the doctor, I would have to be that doctor that's going to go to court and fight for my license. And what? I would be that nurse that would have to go to court and fight when all the Georgia legislatives decide that they're going to come after me for aborting this child.
Well, I think we need to get some more information on this case.
It's a rock on, you're right. It's a rock on a hard place because to remove this woman off life support is to kill the child.
What's your source of information? Is this Reddit or did you read it in Atlanta Journal-Constitution?
It's been all over the news. I saw it in USA Today.
Really?
It's been in Fox. It's been in the Washington Post.
Oh, really?
It's been.
Norm, you got the Post. You should know that.
This has been everywhere. I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
I have not, and I'm going to look for it later because this is wow. I should just share. I mean, it's a very difficult decision for a family to pull a plug. I've been in that situation where my late brother.
Well, according to the Times, Adriana's mother, right, was called April Newkirk. Has expressed deep anguish over the situation, describing it as torture and lamenting the lack of agency in making decisions about her daughter's care. How can we even sit here in this day and age? In this day and age and consider this to be godly or ethical? It's not.
Well, let me continue what I was saying. As someone that's been in the position of having to make a decision about a family member who was effectively, for all intents and purposes, without much brain operation, we decided to do just that. And we realized there was no other choice. Now, this was my brother. Wasn't pregnant, obviously, so there wasn't another life involved here. But it was actually a freeing decision to say, you know what, we've done all we can. He's not going to recover. Unfortunately, the family doesn't have that option completely here because of the other life involved and the law and everything else. So this is going to be a really interesting one to follow. And my heart goes out to the family because they are, I can't imagine what they're going through. I cannot imagine what they're going through.
And this is why, and yes, I'm on it. This is why all that 40 million people who decided to sit their fanny down on the couch last year and not vote and say, I don't know, Kamala. Who is Kamala? I don't know. And she's just like Biden. And politely, I will say,
the election is over, unfortunately.
You all.
Election is over, unfortunately.
This is what when you decided to sit down at home and not vote, this is what you voted for. By not voting, this is what you voted for.
Well, at least you got your way in Canada.
Well, you know what?
Not that really matters in the long run.
It doesn't, and it does, because here's the thing. We weren't far behind. The Conservatives here in Canada, and this is part of the reason why I'm like, yeah, I registered as a Conservative when I first became a citizen, and yes, I voted for O'Toole in the last federal election, but this is how it is proof to me that the Conservative Party of Canada has become very radical. They have become very Trumpian in their actions. And I know you don't agree with me, but here's my points. And you can agree or disagree, but I'm going to line this out for you. It is a slap in the face to voters when the Conservative Party is going to pressure someone to step down and step out of their role that they were elected into.
That is politics.
To put Pierre in. I don't give a
that would have happened in a liberal. That's happened in other parties.
Why did that not happen when O'Toole lost his election?
that has happened in...
Why did that happen when O'Toole
I don't
lost his
know.
election?
I don't
Because
know.
he was too progressive for the Conservative Party. That was the problem.
The point-
They have become very Trumpian. His rhetoric was extremely Trumpian, and the fact that they're telling someone else who was voted in to then tell someone who, by the way, was voted out after 20 years by his own constituents, by his own writing. After 20 years,
And what's
his
your
writing
point?
said, we don't want you anymore. And they
that's
decided
fair.
to push him into somewhere else.
That's election. Politics is like that. Politics is people. Politics is people.
It
doing
is a
things.
slap in the face
To who?
to conservatives who did not want him. And conservatives who voted for someone that they wanted in their riding. It's
Well,
disrespectful.
hold on. The Liberals won that riding. The one you're talking about, Mr. Pullever. By the way, for those of you who don't know, he's talking about the election.
I'm talking about the riding in Alberta where they've asked that MP to step down so that he can,
and all I'm saying is,
Poilievre can run in his position.
all I'm saying is that has happened. Let me tell you, I've watched politics for a little longer than you have. I've seen it happen in both parties. It is not something that there's lots of precedent for that, where you, depending on the situation, somebody resigns, say, Mr. Leader, would you like to run in a safe riding? It's politics. That's the nature of the
Okay,
system.
fine. Well, it's politics.
Well,
It's still an insult.
An insult to who? It's not an insult to you.
It's an insult
what
to
do you
me.
Care? Why?
As a
You don't care.
As a registered conservative, it's an insult to me. And that's why
Well,
I have not been rocking with the conservatives lately, because
Get over it.
I don't feel represented by them anymore.
Well,
after
you didn't vote for them in the first place, so
after
why
they
should it
pushed out
bother you?
O'Toole, I did vote for O'Toole.
Well, not, but this time you didn't.
Not
and by
this
the
time,
way,
yeah, but
and by the way, a lot of
because
people.
because they've not been.
Well, fine, they lost. So don't. You should be happy. You've got a guy.
Yes,
in now
I'm very much
who's
happy because
doing
they
the
do
thing.
not listen to their constituents. And speaking of people who do not listen to their constituents, I was told that I was on the news a couple of days ago. And this is actually, and I'm sorry for jumping all over the place.
What news?
but-
Radio, TV.
I'm going to get to that. Before I get to that, though, in conclusion, I do believe that the conservatives are doing a disservice to themselves by trying to strip away all the things that makes Canada a great country. They want to privatize healthcare. They want to cut social services. All of these things that makes us a compassionate and empathetic, a safe haven for immigrants.
And you don't have to worry. It's not going
As
to
a
happen.
young country, all of these things that makes us great, the conservatives want to slash these things with no
As long as we can pay for them, it's great.
solution that is offered.
The solution is let's develop our resources, which Mr. Trudeau didn't want to do, which fortunately I think Mr. Carney does. And actually, I'm guardedly optimistic about Mr. Carney.
But the two things can exist at the same time.
They can if we can pay for the social services, and the way we do that is to unleash our economic resources and our potential. And Mr. Trudeau wasn't willing to do that. Anyway, I think we should have a refill, don't you?
You know what? We'll have a quick break, and then we'll be right back where I can segue.
And we won't talk about politics anymore because we always fight when we talk politics.
Where I can segue into how exactly I'm feeling. We'll be right back. And we're back.
We're back.
So, one of the things that I was saying earlier, that speaking of folks that don't listen to their constituents, Miss Chow, the mayor of Toronto,
Olivia Chow.
I am just besides myself. I think she only won based on clout because after Mr. Tory decided that he was going to step down, everybody, their mama and their dog decided to run for mayor. Remember, we had over 100 people on the ballot. It was crazy. crazy.
I forgot that actually.
Crazy times. But listen, can't believe you forgot. The North remembers. We out here, we remember. We don't forget nothing. And I want to let you know that I wrote the city that I don't want, because they had sent us a memo that they're going to be building bike lanes.
Yes, on your street out here.
Yes. And I said, I don't want it. In the words of Dana Ross, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Did you send it to your counselor as well?
I sent it to 7 people. The transport manager. I sent it to...
Oh, really? I know that person.
I sent it to her office.
Yes.
I sent it to my MP.
They won't have much impact.
I sent it...
MPP and city council.
I sent it to my MPP.
Go ahead.
I sent it... I literally sent it to 7 different people.
It's probably liberal.
And if you don't know, yes, it is. It is liberal. But I'm just hoping that I would get a voice, right? And I got no response back for like 2 weeks. And I also started a petition on change.org that got over 2,000 signatures. And the reason why that is because I went on Vistaprint and I printed off the QR code for the change.org link and I handed it out on my street.
You see, this is the advantage of being a younger person who is in touch with social media. I wouldn't have thought of all those things. I wouldn't have known how to do that stuff. To raise, I would just be angry about it and say, damn it, why do we have to have these bike lanes on this street and screw all the traffic up?
But I want them to know that the people don't want it.
And you pick the tools that got you some media attention.
Well, here's the thing, because I'm going to tell you how this led up to my letter getting featured on CB24 a couple of days ago.
I hope you send me the YouTube.
On Thursday.
Send me the link for that, please.
I will. So here we are. So this is the letter. I said, Dear City Transport Manager Barbara, I'm writing as a longtime resident of the Esplanade to express my strong opposition to the recent and proposed changes involving the addition of bike lanes on our street. While I recognize the importance of sustainable transportation initiatives, the implementation on the Esplanade appears to have created more harm than good. The reconfiguration of traffic into a partial one-way system has significantly increased congestion and confusion. Not to mention the elimination of a critical left turn lane at a major intersection at the St. Lawrence Market has forced drivers to divert into residential areas, increasing through traffic in spaces that were never built or intended to accommodate such volume, impacting safety,
Good letter.
noise levels, and overall livability.
That could have been written by a planner. You know that? That's very good.
Thank you.
And I read stuff that's planners because I deal with city officials, and I know the person to whom you wrote. I've met her.
I did 9 takes, but I digress.
9 takes. Well, that's
Here's
fine.
the rest.
And you didn't ask Daddy for help with the edit? Shame on you. Know how
I'm your editor. Don't be playing here.
No. You're my critic. You don't tell me. You don't edit. You just tell me what you don't like. Anyway.
What is especially troubling is that these decisions are disproportionately affecting the community with a high concentration of low-income subsidized housing. The placement of a speed enforcement camera in this area already raises serious concerns about equity.
About what?
Equity.
How does that affect
And
equity?
the possible targeting of vulnerable populations, many of whom rely on personal vehicles due to mobility needs.
By the way, I've been a victim of that camera.
Or limited access to reliable public transit based on their line of work, typically those who work in the trades.
I've been a victim of that camera, by the way.
Really?
A year and a half ago. I'm still waiting for my notice to go to court.
How can you be a victim of that camera when it's always traffic at St. Lawrence?
Well, it was at 7 o'clock in the morning when there was no traffic.
Oh, okay. Well,
And I was racing to get onto the
at that time of
Gardner.
the day, I'm sleeping. So I can't speak to that.
Sorry to interrupt.
This area is home to multiple senior citizens
Who don't drive.
and individuals with disabilities who depend on vehicle access and clear
point.
roadways.
Good point.
Thank you. Before I was rudely interrupted. The current changes comprise
The only way I can talk is to interrupt, honey. Carry on.
The current changes compromise accessibility, safety, and independence of these residents. Additionally, small businesses already recovering from years of pandemic-related challenges rely heavily on summer terrace expansions and the convenience for customer access. Increased traffic, limited parking, and growing frustration with gridlock deter visitors and further strain on these establishments.
I think that's an excellent letter. You've said more than enough to make your point. What impact do you think it will have?
Well, I'll tell you what impact it had. Miss Chow's office wrote me back to tell me that we hear you, but we are still moving forward with the construction, and it's
So the stuff they're doing out here on Esplanade that's part of the bike lane.
that's
stuff.
what it is. Yeah. That's why literally a whole lane is closed off.
Look, there's no way you can please everybody in this city right now. I mean, with bike lane.
Granted, we have
I know it's
over
frustrating.
2,000 signatures saying that we don't want it.
And you know, when I've come here in the afternoon, I've seen backups to get onto Yonge Street, to get on the Gardner.
Horrible.
Now, today it wasn't very much traffic out there, but I've seen it when it's plugged.
It's horrible.
And there's a baseball game tonight. I'm surprised it isn't more busy.
And the area that you see digged up, you know what that building is? It's a building for seniors.
So the wheeled trans, if they have to go in there and stuff, will be...
They have to go all the way around to Market Street.
if I'm coming
Imagine
up,
being an elderly person and having to walk that far.
if I'm coming up
a
Jarvis
whole
Street...
block.
Listen, if I'm coming up Jarvis Street from the Gardner Expressway and want to turn left,
Yeah.
can I do that? Will I be able to do that? Or will it be one way now? Or it'll
It's
be
one way.
going which way?
Going east.
Oh.
Sorry, it's one way going west. Sorry.
So I'll be able to turn left. Okay. But
Yeah.
now you're going to be restricted.
I am, yeah.
Unless you
But
just
it's
go
not
to
even,
Church Street. You
but
got
it's
to-
not even just about me. But I'm already restricted because of the parking garage being under construction.
Yeah, I know. This, by the way, this city, folks, it's always under construction. There's a crane everywhere. There's a tow truck everywhere. It's a city that's very hard to get around in. Trust me, I've lived here for over 40 years. It's become harder. I used to go up and down the Don Valley Parkway. In the middle of the day, I would
stressful.
leave my office at the top end of the Don Valley Parkway, drive downtown for lunch, and go back at 1:30, sometimes 2 o'clock, and finish the afternoon, and then come back down and do stuff. I wouldn't think of doing that now.
I need for the city to do right by its constituents.
Well,
We have
unfortunately-
spoken and we were heard, but we were dismissed. And it's unacceptable. And I'm sorry, but Chow has got to go. Chow, chow.
Chow, chow. Chow, chow, chow.
Chow, chow.
Chow, chow, chow. By the way,
She's got to go. I'm sorry, she's got to go. How does one do this?
May I talk about an issue that happened this past week when we get there?
Go on. I'm done. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm
Well,
done. Yeah.
let's follow that one as well, because there's a couple of things you rose today. You brought up. Let's follow those issues in our next SS Shoot the Shit shows next month. We had a very important visitor this past week. The King.
The
Our
crown.
king, our official head of state. For those of you in the United States listening, our head of state is not our prime minister. It is the King of England. What was the Queen when Queen was alive? Now it's the King. And he came and read the speech from the throne, which is how you open Parliament. And you know what? It turned out it was a beautiful day in Ottawa, sunny and bright and everything. It couldn't have been better weather. I remember when Queen Elizabeth came to Canada in 1977. I was working in Ottawa then, in House of Commons, and literally, she walked within 10, 12 feet of me. I walked by, and she was doing the thing, and all part of the ceremony. But anyway, I just think it was, well, a lot of Canadians don't really care a whole lot about the crown. You know, I think this time it's important that we had that celebration and we had that, not so much a celebration.
We're not sovereignists, but at this time, I think it would be quite useful for us to embrace.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's my point.
Embrace the meaning of the relationship between the crown and the Commonwealth.
And our distinction from the United States.
Yeah.
And the whole absurdity of being a 51st state. Listen, we're close enough with the Americans anyway, or at least were up till Trump came to power. We don't need to be a 51st state.
I'm sorry.
Although I would love the American dollar.
And I know you don't like when I curse, but fuck them. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but fuck them.
Well, look, I have American friends who don't like what Mr. Trump is doing.
That's between you and your American friends.
Well, they are not happy about what he's doing to us. So
and neither am I.
We have allies in the United States.
Your American friends probably are listening, being like, well, why am I into it?
But you know what's interesting is it really has changed. I mean, the Americans are becoming the pariah country around the world. Nobody wants to visit there.
Not me.
Their tourism is down. People
For
aren't Canadians aren't crossing the bridge as much.
I don't want it.
You know, like it's going to impact them. And now, by the way, did you hear this new word, taco, this week? Taco. Trump always caves. Oh, what does it stand for? Taco. Trump always caves. I got to check it.
Oh. No. All right. Well, you let us know. I've never heard of this taco. Only taco I know is Taco Bell. What the hell? I am like, no, honestly, I am besides myself. I think the world is going through such a dramatic shift, Norm.
You're right. Taco. Trump always chickens out. With respect to his
if enough pressure is applied.
Yep, tariffs, he chickens out. Sorry, I had the wrong word.
But if his enablers continuously, when the trade court says no, this is illegal, and then
the appellate court comes back and says you can do it.
You can do it. Then does the law even matter anymore?
Good question.
Because Trump has his henchmen everywhere. Does the law even matter anymore?
Well, Americans are asking that question. They're thanking their stars for the courts, because the Democratic Party's nowhere. But even the courts are being, they're flimsy.
Very.
We're in a state right now, a state of chaos in the world because of what's happening in the United States. And it's really... what's it going to be like for the next 3 years? Who knows?
It's if jurisprudence
it
was a person, they'd be rolling in their grave.
Oh, jurisprudence. Now, if you're going to be a law student, you need to learn to. By the way, how are we doing with that one?
If there were a person, they'd be rolling in their grave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just... oh my God.
Juris, are you down there, Juris?
I'm exhausted. I'm emotionally tired.
You need a break. You're going away though, aren't you?
Well, that doesn't mean that I get away from the foolishness. I just generally feel like the world right now, because of AI, because of the internet, there's so much misinformation being spread.
But you can detach from it.
But me detaching from it doesn't mean that the general public takes a day off from receiving misinformation.
That may be, but why do you let it stress you out?
Because that informs their thought process, their value system, and how they vote. And that directly affects my life.
but you can take a break from it for a few days. You can shut it off and get a mental break. And maybe we need to do that with the internet and
It's
with our
easy
phones.
for you to say. And
Well, it's not. I mean,
yes,
I'm
it
as glued
is.
to my phone as you are.
Yes.
But it's stressful. But sociologists are saying, listen, it causes depression in young people being always involved in the internet.
I'm
You're-
like, what's
you're
the
reflecting
purpose of
stress.
life anymore? I might as well drink a bottle a day. Like,
No,
what's the
that's-
point of living?
You know what the point of living is. You're a believer. You're a Christian.
I'm still going out there to do my part in the fight. I am fighting. I'm out here fighting for my life. I'm fighting for no bike lanes.
You know what? At the end of the day, that is not a particularly...
I'm out here fighting.
There are a lot bigger social causes in the world than fighting against bike lanes. One must.
I'm sure they are, and everybody
Yeah.
has a moral obligation to fight for what's important to them.
And it's important to you here.
Whether that's just you must start somewhere.
Very self-interested, I might add.
But you must start somewhere.
And you have.
You pick a cause
And you now.
you stick to it.
And now you're going to get an interview on CP24, and you got a call from the mayor's office. I haven't even had a call from the mayor. Well, an email.
Yes,
from
you
the mayor.
have. Stop the lying. You're a lobbyist.
No. I haven't talked to her though. I
You
haven't met her- I
you
haven't met
pick
her
a
yet.
cause and you stick to it.
What is your cause?
No bike lanes on my street. Not on my street. We won't have it. We will not be having it.
Well, the only way you're going to get that is to stand out there with a bunch of people when the contractors come up to dig the ground and plow it and say, "We're not moving."
I may have to organize and form a protest.
Well, that might work.
We may have to march because the people of the Esplanade are sick of it.
Well, you're going to have to go and get the
so am I.
Listen, the seniors are looking for something to do. Maybe go over there and round them up.
You make jokes, but
I'm
they're the
not.
ones
I'm
with
quite-
all the free time.
I'm quite serious about it.
They're the ones with all the free. Don't play with me.
Go and ask to speak to one of their Friday afternoon.
I'm
networking
marching on
session.
bingo night and just be like, girls,
You're guest speaker on bingo night. No bike lanes.
I'm gonna have to march in on bingo.
And
night.
what you got to do is convince them as to why they should be concerned. Their people will have trouble visiting them. Their wheel-trans, those that use it, or cabs, will have trouble accessing their building. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to delay things. Hey, go for it. You're going to probably not once they
Honestly, at this point, I don't think the city gives a fuck. They've practically given me the middle finger.
It's hard. It's hard to fight City Hall.
Even with overwhelming evidence. And believe me, in my Game of Thrones voice, in the words of Bran Stark. Bran Stark?
1 hour later.
In the words of the Starks, the North remembers.
The North remembers.
The North remembers. Right. And with that being said, I think we can end.
We've done a lot of shooting tonight, haven't we?
In fact, that's the name of today's episode. The North remembers.
Okay.
How about that?
What do we remember again? I forgot.
Remember when you slight us and you don't listen to what we want.
By the way, should we mention any topics that we're thinking of having in the future weeks?
No,
should we?
we'll
shouldn't
keep it
do
a surprise.
Always surprise.
Chip
Okay.
mix. A box of chocolates.
Okay. You're the boss.
Thank you everyone for listening to today's episode. And if you've made it all the way to the end, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Daddy and Son Podcast. That is at Daddy and Son Podcast. If you have any questions for the show, send them over to daddyandsonpodcast@gmail.com. That is DADDYANDSON podcast@gmail.com. Until next time, sons, be good to your daddies.
And daddies, be kind to your sons.
We will see you in 2 weeks. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.